Good morning, Gazalelo here, Bondi Guru. I hope you're all doing wonderful. Okay, so another morning of live streaming the daily intuitive forecasts. Thursday, 6th of November today. Someone asked me yesterday, why do you bother doing the morning lives? What's the point of it when you're already delivering the intuitive horoscopes? Like, well, actually, to be honest with you, firstly, most importantly, I do it for me. It gives me a great structure for my day, which I love, and also makes sure that the daily forecasts are out every single day because they're a priority and it's important to me that they're out daily. And then I have a space during these lives to be able to express as much as I possibly can, as freely as I can, without having to be concerned about timing of a video, because a daily forecast can't go any longer than, maybe about 2-3 minutes. So it's a great space to be able to just express as much as I possibly can during these mornings. Now, what I'm going to do is actually just dive in. Speaking of time, today I have to leave to head to the gym. I've got training this morning. Had a lovely walk this morning with Willow as well. I hope those of you that are in Australia, I hope you've done your morning walk already, or maybe you're on your way to the gym or doing some kind of training. And I imagine a lot of people may be on the way to work. Then you've got the other side of the world where, good morning, Isabella. You've got the other side of the world where maybe a lot of people are maybe at mid-afternoon or it's quite late at night. So we'll just take a moment to ground. I'm going to suggest that you bring your attention to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. So that's simply placing both feet firmly flat on the ground. I can't stress to you the importance of being in the present moment, having your attention. The truth is your body's always in the present moment. However, having your attention in the present moment. Now, there's many reasons I can explain to you why that's important. And before I dive into any of those, I want to remind you guys that these daily intuitive horoscopes won't do you any good if you don't use your ability to be in the present moment. I say this because the forecasts are to support you. They're just a signpost to support you to go within and focus on your own inner wisdom, focus on your own intuition. So when you read them or listen to them from a space when you're not in the present moment, a lot of the things that I say won't make any sense. That's not for the person that doesn't really want to do the work, or it's not for the person that's just looking for quick answers and wants to, or isn't really living their life aligned with who they are. And that's unfortunately a lot of people. But that being said, the focus always needs to be on the present moment. If it's not, it's going to be quite difficult to understand, because you're going to use your logical mind to try to get what I'm saying. And what I'm sharing with you comes from the space of intuition. So to try to understand it logically is going to probably cause or create more confusion for you. Okay. Now, that being said, let's dive into Aries. I'm going to record while I'm here on the live as well. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Just need to make sure my screen's set up. It's one of those days, dear Aries, where you have to be able to put your money where your mouth is. Now, it's interesting that I'm sharing this with you in this way, because there are certain ideas that you continue to talk about, ideas that you say suggest are going to work for you, ideas that you say will make all the difference in your life. And it's not to say that they won't, and perhaps these ideas will work for you. It's just the issue is, and this is why I'm saying put your money where your mouth is, the issue is the conversation around these ideas is currently nothing but conversation. There are many actions that you need to take in order to bring these ideas to fruition. And the more you talk about the ideas, the less likely you are to bring them to fruition. It's not the space for you to be just talking about these ideas. It's not the time to just be talking about these ideas. It's, if anything, now more than ever, it's all about taking action for the Aries. And I feel like I want to say the next 6 or so days, the focus needs to be on taking action. The focus needs to be on being a little bit quieter about your ideas. I don't know how many ideas. Let's just say there's 2 or 3 of them. Again, perhaps they are incredible ideas. However, talking about them the way that you're talking about them and not taking the actions that need to be taken is where these ideas will just become your downfall. So your greatest opportunity, in particular over the next 6 or 7 days, is to get clear on what actions are required to bring these ideas to fruition. And you'll find actually that the actions will be very clear to you as soon as you're clear with the ideas. Write down the ideas and then sit with quietly, presently, of course, sit with the ideas for a couple of moments, because there are certain things that, or certain details rather, that you're not quite clear about just yet through all the talking. So no more talking about these ideas. Put it down on paper. That will work beautifully for you, and get clear on the details. As soon as you're clear on the details, the actions themselves will just, I feel like, become very clear to you. Then the next step is to follow through with the action. So a whole lot less talking just at the moment for the Aries. Okay, so for the Aries, I feel like you can be great at talk. And by the way, you're great at also rolling up your sleeves and getting on with it. You're great at achieving and, things of that nature. It's not that you have a problem with achieving. It's not that you have a problem with, doing necessarily what you say you're going to do. The issue at the moment, however, is that these few ideas that are being talked about over and over again, they won't just happen themselves because you're talking about them, is essentially what I wanted to get at. You have to actually do something with the ideas. Okay, then we have Taurus. Oh boy. I say oh boy because the Taurians are going through quite the roller coaster ride. In some moments it can be incredibly emotional, and other moments you've got it down pat, right? And when I say you've got it down pat, it's what I mean by that is that in some other moments there's a lot of grounding. There's the ability to see through the emotional roller coaster. So I'll just dive into the forecast now. There's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster for the Taurians at the moment, and it's not a good or bad thing. And I also want to say, I guess when you hear that there's an emotional roller coaster, the first thing you would usually envision is that you're going to get completely lost in the emotions and the roller coaster. And that's actually not the case this time. My feeling is the reason for the emotional roller coaster is for you to recognize how far you've come on your journey. Some of the emotions that would have once been stirred within you based on stories and things that are going on supposedly externally, some of those stories no longer have the same effect on you. They no longer stir the same old emotions within you. So it's almost as though the picture I get is that there's this huge roller coaster in a theme park, and you've been on this roller coaster many times before, and usually there's been a lot of fear. There's so many different emotions that get pushed and prodded and so on. And this time you look at this huge roller coaster and you decide, I don't actually have to go on it. If I don't want to, I don't have to go on this roller coaster. The roller coaster can be there and it can keep going and, flipping upside down or whatever it does. I don't actually have to be on that roller coaster. And part of that is because the lessons that you've learned, maybe in recent 2 to 3 months, are complete now. So these are lessons that have been in your life for a very long time. They are complete. So there's no point in going back to old habits or old stories or old decisions. I feel like this is a great transformation for the Taurians. And over the coming probably weeks and months, you'll start to see more of how resilient you've become. You'll start to recognize more of your ability and capabilities to stand your ground and to allow the stories to just move through rather than getting so caught up in them. Well done. I didn't know that was going to go how it was going to go. Okay, that's interesting. So you know that when these forecasts are delivered, obviously, maybe you don't know. I say obviously, but I say obviously because I feel like I've been doing these lives for 10 years. It's only been 4 days, but they're based purely on intuition. So when I deliver the forecast, I don't actually know what I'm going to say. I mentioned the other day, the aim perhaps I could say to you is, what does this star sign require support with? And usually they need support with an understanding about a situation, or they need support with knowing how to access their own intuition. They need support with knowing how to make better decisions, things of that nature. So then the delivery is whatever the forecast is, will guide them and support them in that way. Now, as a listener or reader, if you're not taking the time to be in the present moment, to truly hear the space that these words are shared from, then they'll probably go over your head. They won't mean anything to you. They won't make a difference to you necessarily. So I would highly recommend that you listen from a space that is open, you listen from a space that is truly present, and that constant chitter-chatter in the back of your mind, leave it. That's the ego talking shit majority of the day, and it's just repeating everything from yesterday, the day before, weeks ago, and fears and limitations and so on and so forth. And the more energy and attention you're giving to those thoughts that belong in the past, then the less you're able to access present moment, access intuition, access your power, which to me is the same thing. Present moment, intuition, power, it's all the same thing. Okay, so let's gonna change this to Gemini. Okay, so for the Geminis, let's dive in. So today I'm going to focus mainly on just giving the forecast, as I am aware of time this morning. Otherwise, generally I don't mind sitting here for an hour and a half and elaborating as much as I possibly can. For where you are today and how you're feeling today, there's an ability to be able to appreciate the journey that you've just walked through, dear Gemini. And it's not to say that the journey ends here today. However, there's a part of the journey that begins to transition from today. And so I feel like that's where the appreciation comes in. Your ability to look at what you've been through and truly appreciate what it's brought out in you, truly appreciate who you've become in the process, is tremendous. And there's a point through these moments of, or maybe it's just one moment of appreciation, one moment of realization, where the transition begins to take place. So you remain on the same journey. It's not that everything starts to look different. Don't rely on that right now. There are changes coming for the Geminis. That being said, don't wait for them and don't rely on everything just changing color in one day, because it doesn't work that way. There is a transition that takes place today, and this transition will support you to ever so gently become clear about your direction in life. The direction of your life is beginning to shift, and it will shift in a way that needs to be quite subtle, and that's really important. This is not about a big bang. This is not about everybody seeing a massive brand new direction and applauding and clapping, and it's got nothing to do with anything that your ego is chasing right now. The ego is not right now. The ego is always chasing something. Often it's love, validation. It's limited. It doesn't know love. It is convinced that love comes from feeling validated from other people, so on and so forth. I won't dive into all that right now. The transition happens today. The appreciation is immense. It's tremendous. And the direction for the Gemini is shifting ever so subtly. So you'll need to be really tuned in. Let's just say tuned into your body. That may make a lot more sense for the Geminis. Rather than saying being tuned into the inner sensations, that may not make as much sense. So you just need to be tuned into your body. Be where your body is, and you'll start to notice the subtle shifts that come along to show you the new direction. Sometimes the best way I feel to guide people, or guide some people, not everyone, but guide some people, is to get them to understand that all they need to do is be where their body is, right? A lot of people find it difficult to grasp inner energy field, or, bring your attention to feeling sensations. Sometimes there's so much noise and the ego runs the show at such a deep level that to get through to that person, you can't really use words or guidance that, is about inner sensations, or go deeper, or feel the peace that's already within, and so on and so forth. Usually that person is going to fight for their limitations. So one way that I feel can be useful, in particular for the Geminis, is be in your body. So wherever your body is, be there. Instead of feel the sensations, I would recommend for the Geminis, just be wherever it is that your body is. That can trigger a truly transformative realization for the Gemini, because it's not about deep thinking, although they are deep thinkers, which is wonderful, but it's very simple. Just be where your body is. Okay, that's just for the Geminis, in particular based on their traits and characteristics. So we're going to dive into Cancer. Please pay attention to the words that you are using, dear Cancer. I want to remind you that each word carries its own vibration. And some of the words that you use, whether it's to describe yourself, your life, your situation, are what bring you down. So you have to choose your words carefully, select them consciously. Take the time to understand your own message. Everybody has a different message, and the messages are become clear through verbal, right? And sometimes through what they don't say, but let's just talk about being verbal. And so some of your messages are crossing over and they're a little bit misconstrued. And that's because of the words that you're choosing to use. I say consciously, and of course there are many words that you use unconsciously that you're not even aware of how they impact you and also the people around you. So for you to be conscious of the words that you're using and understand that each word carries its own vibration, that's a huge understanding. And the depth of that understanding, how deep that goes, is profound. Each word carries its own vibration. So homework for the Cancerians right now is to understand what that means. What does it mean? Each word carries its own vibration. Then when you understand the vibration of different words, I feel like that becomes a game changer for you, in particular, to change or shift a particular situation that feels quite stuck for you. This is your opportunity to bring some freedom into a space in your life that feels constricted and stuck. Okay, so that's for the Cancerians, and words are everything. Everything. It's just mind-blowing. If we are not aware of the vibration that each word carries, or perhaps let's put it this way, once we become aware of the vibration that each word carries, I really feel that's another way, by the way, it's another, I want to say, pointer to the present moment. Because when you're speaking, and you have to be conscious of the words that you are using, whether it's your inner dialogue or you're speaking out loud and you're talking about your situation in your life, you're talking about yourself, and you use words with lower vibration, then your experience continues to remain at that lower vibration. The power that you have once you bring your attention to the present moment, to be aware of the words that you're using and become conscious of the words that you're using, is mind-blowing. So I want to say maybe for the Cancerians, but for anybody, it doesn't have to be the Cancerians. You hear me talk about present moment awareness all the time. That is the only conversation really that I'm having. Why? Because Present moment awareness is what will allow you to access your intuition. If you want to know what intuition is, if you want to be able to hear your intuition, you want to be able to use your intuition, then you need to first know present moment awareness. A lot of people are completely disconnected from the here and now, and their connection is with the mental noise, the chaos, mental chaos, the mental noise, and who they think they are, which is a lot going on up here for many people. By the way, when I say a lot of people, many people, I'm just generalizing based on my conversation with people in my field of work. So just to make that clear, I'm generalizing based on when I do sessions or when I do group work and so on and so forth. So that's where that's coming from. So you can use the ability to be conscious of your words and as another way to enter the here and now. Okay, let's just sort this out for the Leos. I love this one. I love it when it comes through really, and it feels very simple for me. The shift that you've been looking for has already taken place, dear Leo. The thing is, you're still looking for it, which is why you're not able to recognize that it's already taken place. Everything and anything that you are in search of right now in your life, my suggestion for the Leos is just for today, maybe even tomorrow, don't look for it. And I say this because when you're looking for something, you're either usually looking for it in your head, and it's the space that you're looking from, which is from a space of limitation, disconnected. I don't know who I am, so I need to look for X, Y, Z. And you're also out of the present moment because your attention is going to go to the thinking, which will take you so far out of the present moment. What you need most right now in your life will meet you in the present moment. The rest is just stories, ideas, thoughts, and a lot of useless conversations, whether you're having that with yourself or other people. So for the Leos, the recommendation for today and maybe even tomorrow is stop looking. Imagine that there is nothing for you to look for. I want you to just use your imagination today. What would it feel like if the search ended for you today? What would it feel like if you had nothing to look for today? If you didn't have to find anything? Usually you're looking for an answer of some kind that will turn up and change your life and make everything better. That's usually what people are looking for. I just need an answer. I need to know how I'm going to make this much money. I need to know how I'm going to go through that door. I need to how, all of these types of conversations. Imagine today, for a moment, that you weren't looking for anything. Notice how that feels. That's a great one. That is huge. If you think about it, it's actually very true. Often, what are we doing? We're out of the present moment looking for something. We're either looking for something better because we can't accept what the present moment is, or we're not really in the present moment. We're looking for an idea to make our life better. We're looking for something that's going to make us feel better, look better, sound better, anything other than accepting the present moment. And when I say accepting the present moment, just to be clear, there's a version or an idea of the present moment that your ego will present to you. That's not present moment. The ego's idea or version of the present moment is often all the, let's say, bad things in the story that are happening in the here and now. None of those things are actually happening. They're just ideas, it's projection. So to truly accept the here and now, what you'll find is that there's no story. It's not that you have to go, oh, I accept that I'm limited and that I can't do, X, Y, and Z. It's got nothing to do with that. Just be mindful that, or be aware, if you like, that the ego will present an idea of what the present moment is and present ideas as to what's happening in the present moment, which is not true. Okay, and then we'll jump into Virgo. Just give me 1 second here. So let's dive into the Virgo. You're at a point, dear Virgo, where you have, I want to say, a fork in the road. And the reason I say fork in the road is because there's a couple of different decisions that you have the option and also the opportunity to choose. The thing is, you can't choose all of these decisions at the same time. So today, it's going to be valuable for you to get as clear as you possibly can about what it is that you want in your life. Now, it's a big question, right? What do I want from my life? What do I want in my life? Instead of what do I want in my life as a whole, because that question can be really big and also take you too far out, perhaps even lead to a lot of confusion if you're thinking about it. Instead, what I'm going to suggest you do is just check in with yourself today. What is it that I want in my life right now? So keep it and bring it back to the now, because there is something that you want right now. There is something that you love right now. There is something that is most valuable for you right now that allows you to experience and feel peace and or peace of mind. So my feeling is it's around being at peace. And the few decisions that are in front of you, each one leads to a different option or a different door in your life. And if being at peace is what is most valuable and important to you at the moment, then you'll need to align with the decision that feels most peaceful. I'm going to go with the feeling that I get that it's peace that you're looking for. It's peace that you want to experience. And so, whatever these decisions are, take the time to feel which one feels most peaceful for you. Don't worry about what it looks like or sounds like or what anybody else will think about it. Which decision that is in front of you in your life at the moment feels the most peaceful? The one that feels the most peaceful is the one that you'll honor. It takes nothing to take a couple of breaths, come back to the present moment, and feel, okay, what feels the most peaceful for me right now? And I think it's a question that all of us can ask ourselves in any given moment. What feels most peaceful for me right now? Or what decision supports me to be at peace right now? Questions are everything. They're like magnets. They go into the body and pull out all the things that no longer belong there, thoughts, ideas, emotions, and create a way for these, I want to say, unexpressed emotions to become expressed. So, which is why I use questions a lot, whether I'm working one-on-one or group format, or even in these intuitive forecasts. I put a lot of time and energy into asking questions. Questions are, I feel, a game changer. Okay, so we're going to move on to Libra in a moment. Just take a second and just drink some water here. Okay. A reminder for the Librans in particular, the power of having space in your day. Let me actually just dive into the forecast. I'll deliver it in the forecast here. There's a lot of power for you, dear Libra, when you have space in your day. And for now, I'm going to suggest that they are spaces, moments, or time where you do nothing. So, for example, you might allow 5 minutes this morning to go and sit somewhere, maybe by the water or something of that nature, somewhere in nature, and just sit quietly. Do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. You're not walking, you're not looking for anything, you're not listening to anything other than nature, and just sit there 5 minutes. Put a timer on, because for the Libra, this is going to be useful, right? Especially if you're new to this. So you need to create space in your day. And for you to create space in your day, the best way to do it is do nothing. Form could be 3 minutes. You don't need to go, I'm going to take my shoes off and do some barefoot walking and ground myself. That's still doing something. I know this can be incredibly challenging. My suggestion is do nothing to create space in your day as much as you possibly can. So another moment you might sit wherever it is that you are. It might be in your kitchen. Just sit there. 2 minutes. Do nothing. Absolutely nothing for 2 minutes. Which means that your attention is not on the thinking either. Right? You're not trying to figure anything out. Put it this way. Whilst your attention is on the thinking, it means you're trying to figure something out. So do nothing. Don't try to figure anything out. Just do nothing. Then it might be another moment where you're at the shop. So you're shopping. You might just take it 30 seconds, stop and do nothing. Just for 30 seconds. For the Librans, this will start to create space in your day. When you have more space in your day, I feel like you're going to become far clearer on some decisions that you've put on the side burner for a little bit too long. You can't keep putting off the decisions that you've been putting off, is essentially what I'm saying to the Librans. However, I can't say it in that way. It doesn't work for the Libra, which is why I'm delivering the forecast in the way that I am. If they can just create space in the day by doing nothing throughout, different pockets of the day, that's when the Libra will start to recognize, oh, these are the decisions that I put, that I'm not making or I'm not following through with, that are important to me to follow through with. But whilst you don't have space, you're not going to know this. It's like if you imagine like a whiteboard and you've got so much writing on it, and then you want to write your vision and your dream and get really clear, but you can't. There's no space. So we need to take everything off and then start with a fresh whiteboard. And for you to be able to do that, it's just do nothing a few times throughout your day, which is going to be very challenging for the Libra. Often when you do nothing for a few moments, for a lot of people, stuff will come up, emotions unexpressed, and which is why most people keep themselves as busy as they possibly can, so as not to have to look at what's going on internally. Not right, not wrong, not good, not bad. It's just how some people operate. Okay. Now, we're going to dive into the Scorpio. As I wrote Scorpio, the first thing I felt was like a wave of lightness. And that's why I'm like, that feels really great. The first thing I notice for you, dear Scorpio, is that there is a wave of lightness. There is an energy of it's okay. An energy of it's working out. There's an energy of, okay, I can finally see that it's working out. This is new. It feels very new for the Scorpios. What I'm going to recommend you do is when you feel it, which you will, as soon as your attention is away from all the noise and the thinking, you'll feel something entirely different. When your attention is on the mental noise and the thinking, it's very heavy, and it can get very dark very quickly. So remove your attention from the thinking by bringing it to the here and now. And what you'll notice and sense is there is lightness. Something feels as though it's working out. Finally is the word that comes to me. Finally, it feels as though something is working out. The moment you feel this, what's going to be key for you is not to negate it. And how you can negate something that's already working out for you is by judging it based on what you're seeing. Because it's very easy to go, well, my circumstances haven't changed. Everything's still the same. I'm still in the same, stuck place, as an example. That's you now negating intuition coming in as a feeling to show you that it's working out. So what you have to do today is trust the feeling over what you're seeing, which, by the way, can be so easy for the Scorpios to do, and then sometimes you make even that a little bit too difficult for yourself. So today, as much as you possibly can, relax the mind and body as deeply as you possibly can so that you can feel this feeling that I'm referring to. And once you feel it, stay present so that you don't negate it. I can't tell you how often and how easy it is to negate intuition based on what we're not seeing or what we are seeing. It's very easy to go, no, my situation's not changing or nothing is changing because I'm not seeing any changes. But then there's a feeling deep down that keeps telling you everything's okay. There's a feeling deep down that keeps showing you through feeling, not through what you're seeing in the world around you, that there is something that's working out for you. There are things working out for you. That's your intuition. And often there's a tendency to negate that based on what we're seeing. So be mindful of that. Okay, we'll dive into Sagittarius. Expectations. Okay, good. You'll need to be aware of your expectations today, dear Sagittarius. And I say this because some of your expectations are beginning to become projected onto other people. I think is the only way that I can describe it. You have certain expectations of how people should be, of how life is meant to be. And those expectations, which are certain ideas that you're now projecting onto other people, which will interfere with your connection and ability to have really profound relationships. So for you at the moment, the best thing you can do is write down, what are these expectations? What expectations do I have of other people? Don't worry about why or even where do these expectations come from. I know sometimes the why and where can be incredibly useful. Just for today, it won't be for the Sagittarians. I'm just going to ask that you write down all of your expectations. Then I want you to notice through being present, which is the only way that you'll be able to notice it. I want you to then notice how you project these expectations onto your experience or your circumstances, and in particular, how you project these expectations onto your relationships with other people. Because when you do this, when you project your expectations onto the people in your life, in your relationships with other people, what you'll find is the person you're having a relationship with isn't that person. You're now having a relationship with somebody in your mind that's not who they really are. And what I would love mostly for you to understand today is where you do that in your life, who you're doing it with. There are a handful of people that you have a tendency to place certain expectations on based on the kind of relationship you have with them in your mind. It's not even the relationship that is true in your life. It's in your mind. It's ultimately what I want you to understand. And so that you can recognize the difference between the relationship in your mind that you have with that person or with certain people and the relationship in reality that you have with them and how different they are. When they're too far apart, something's not quite right. So for you, it's all about coming back to expectations and how am I projecting my expectations or who am I projecting my expectations on. That's big homework for the Sagittarians. And like I said at the beginning, and I always say this, these forecasts are designed to support you to recognize your own intuition, to hear and feel and use your own intuition so you're not relying on anybody else. That being said, my job here is to, of course, deliver the content and in particular the work that you need to do as, let's say, I could say as a Sagittarius, but also as an individual. When you write down all your expectations and you start to notice how you project your expectations onto other people and that the relationship you have with somebody that is in your life and the relationship you have with them in your mind are completely different, that's a wake-up call. That's incredible. That is a moment of awakening. Then your opportunity there is to recognize what's in the way of you accessing your intuition. You can't access your intuition whilst you have all these expectations and ideas of who other people should be and how they're supposed to turn up for you in your life. Things of that nature. I won't dive too deep into that today. Okay, then we're going to prepare for Capricorn. I feel like for the Capricorn, one of the things that can be most difficult usually is having to sit in a space where it's best that no decision is made. I know it's very rare because decisions are of course incredibly important. It's just in particular for the Capricorn, sometimes there are moments and there have been a lot this year as well, where you've had to sit in the feeling of indecision. What does it feel like to be in the feeling of indecision? And I feel like there are those moments of indecision have brought a lot of deep realizations for the Capricorns, in particular around what is actually true for me to do, what decisions are true for me to honor, and which ones are not true for me. And so Capricorns have this idea that the more decisions they make, the more empowered they are. Again, it's not right or wrong, good or bad. The indecision place, however, has also been just as valuable for you and pushed you and forced you to slow down a little bit so that you are clear on true decisions. Otherwise, you're making 300,000 decisions a day, and a lot of them are just unconscious. So it's really about becoming conscious of the decisions that you're making. And sometimes, I guess what I'm saying to the Capricorns is those moments of indecision that you've been in your life have served you tremendously well, because they're the moments that have supported you to slow down enough. Now, that being said, let's dive into the forecast for today. The message for the Capricorns today is to take a breather, slow down, and reconnect with yourself. I feel like there are certain ideas that are beginning to weigh you down or beginning to feel quite heavy for you. And the ideas are connected to what other people want from you and or how you're supposed to show up for other people and in this world. Now, in order for you to be loved or liked or successful, things of that nature, this is how you're meant to show up. And it's starting to weigh heavily on you. And the more you go, and the deeper you go into how you're supposed to show up for other people, because then you'll be validated, loved, and liked, and so on, the further away you'll be from what feels true for you, what feels most natural for you, dear Capricorn. So the opportunity today is to take a step back and slow down. Nothing useful, how do I put this? What I want to get across to the Capricorns is slowing down won't negatively impact your life. And perhaps there's an idea somewhere in the back of your mind is that you've got to go, 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 get all these things done, and and as capable as you are, you also need to slow down so that you are clear. The clarity won't come to you when you're moving super fast and making 300 decisions in the space of 20 minutes. You're not going to be able to be very clear. So slowing down today will make a tremendous difference for you. I also feel I want to say between now and the end of the year, perhaps the message will continue to be for the Capricorns to slow down. I don't feel that it's the time for you to roll up your sleeves and get a whole heap done, which is strange to say because usually I would imagine, in particular for a Capricorn, this time of year is a time to roll up your sleeves and get as much done as you possibly can. My feeling is it's actually quite the opposite, is to put the sleeves back down and slow down as much as you possibly can, mainly so that you are clear. It's the clarity that you get to access when you slow down. And slowing down, by the way, doesn't mean that you won't achieve anything, right? It's such a big one, isn't it? Because it's in particular for Capricorns. I feel like it's very easy to think, but if we slow down, we're going to miss out on so many things. If we slow down, we're going to miss, opportunities. We're going to miss possibilities. If we slow down, we're not going to get to where we're going, and so on and so forth. And more often than not, it's the slowing down piece that will support us or support you or us to become very clear on the decisions that we're making. How many of your decisions are conscious? How conscious are you and how present are you with the decisions that you make each day? If you're moving really fast, in particular your mind, there's a lot of chaos and it's going to be very difficult to be aligned with true decisions. Present moment awareness is what it will enable you to be aligned with true decisions. It's what enables you to be aligned with your intuition, which is why I'm always talking about present moment awareness. Okay, let's go dive into Aquarius. This is an interesting one. Yeah, okay. I do it in this way because it makes sense to me. What's coming through is making sense to me for the Aquarians. Just now, how do I deliver this? So it's the 6th of November. Okay. This is going to be an interesting one for the Aquarians. Between now and the end of this year, it's not about any massive breakthroughs. What I'm going to suggest for the Aquarians is to let go of the need that you have for huge breakthroughs, for the idea that something's going to come along, give you that really big break, that really big breakthrough, and everything's going to change forever. I'm going to suggest for the Aquarians to step away from that idea. Now, at first, to step away from an idea like that, it will trigger a lot of disappointment in you. Because the idea, or stepping away from maybe that hope or that dream that something's going to come and it's just going to change everything, to step away from that will trigger, the way that it will trigger you, I feel is the first step to you realizing the power of some of these little breakthroughs that you're having, some of these little wins that you're having, some of these little moments of making conscious decisions that you're having. These are far more valuable, far more important and supportive for you than the idea that I'm going to have this massive breakthrough and everything's going to finally work out for me. That's an idea that keeps you trapped in so many unexpressed emotions that sit in your body. And the hope and the need for that one moment is what will get in the way of you being able to make small changes in your life. The small changes are far more valuable than the big leaps and bounds. So again, I'm going to suggest to the Aquarians, step away from the idea that there's a big bang that's going to come along and change everything. That's not an idea that's working for you. It's keeping you trapped. The moment you step away from it, you'll be triggered. Great. Lots of unexpressed emotions, in particular disappointment, will rise to the surface. Good. That's a good thing, because then you can go finally say, okay, I feel really disappointed, and stop being in denial of that disappointment. Doesn't matter why. None of the reasons are useful at this point. It's not that they're not valid. They're just not useful. And allow yourself the space to just feel that disappointment. I don't want to tell you what happens next because, well, I do. I want to say that once you feel that disappointment, that itself is your big break. However, that being said, I don't want you to try to feel disappointment because then there's going to be a massive breakthrough. I hope that makes sense. It's amazing how incredibly sneaky the ego can be, because the ego can take what I'm saying and go, oh, great. So if I do this work and take the time to be disappointed, and feel the disappointment, then that's where my big break is going to come through. Everything's going to change, or everything that I said not to do is what the ego will end up doing. So taking these forecasts in from a space where you are truly present is a game changer, because your ability to be in the here and now will allow these words that I'm sharing from the space that I'm sharing them from, will allow you to also access that space. That space is intuition. You have it, I have it, we all have it. It's just a lot of people are not connecting to it. Why? Because the mind is so busy and entertaining, and the attention goes onto everything that is busy and entertaining. So when you listen and or read from a space where you are truly present in the here and now, the message that is perfect for you, and in particular your situation, the changes and anything that you need to do, will come through to you. The words will transfer back to energy. That energy is within you, which will translate perfectly to your current situation as an individual, not even necessarily as an Aquarius or star sign. Okay, and wow, we got through this really fast today. How did that happen? Okay, then we've got Pisces for the day, and then I'm going to answer a question that I've had from someone yesterday, I think it was. I'm not sorry, Mohammed, I must have missed that. Yep, no worries, that's cool. Now remember, the daily forecasts also come out throughout the day as well. So if the live is difficult for you, that's okay. You don't need to be here. Jump onto your actual forecast in the day. And also you can watch this a little bit later in the day. It's not, you don't have to be here. Whether there's one person here or 1,000 people here, to be honest with you, won't make any difference to me. I'm here to deliver the forecast, and the forecast gets cut up and sent out throughout the day. Being here at 8 a.m. every morning is making my life easier and giving me less work to do, which is why I'm here. And I do it at 8 a.m. because it suits my lifestyle. Somebody said to me yesterday, why don't you do like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m.? I'm already up very early in the mornings. I don't mind. I could be here at 5 a.m. It's just I have a lot of animals that I need to attend to, and they're my priority first thing in the morning. They need to be walked and fed and, all that sort of stuff. That's really kind of you. Thanks, Kerry. And so 8 a.m., I have to do things that work for me and my lifestyle, and I'm hoping that that's the same thing that you do, and make sure that you take care of you before you take care of anybody else. And these, you guys can always come back to these as well. Okay, that being said, let's dive into the final forecast for the day, which is the Pisces. There's a piece of clarity that lands for you today, dear Pisces, and it's a moment, I want to say it's a moment that you've been looking for. It's a moment that you've been hoping for. It's a moment that you've wondered if it will ever turn up in your life or something of that nature. And what you start to realize from this moment is the power of clarity and how important it is for you as an individual to be incredibly clear about the decisions you're making and also intentional about the actions that you're taking. How are you using your time? Your time is everything. And what energy are you operating from? So this moment of clarity kind of not shakes you up, but opens your eyes and gets you to start to ask questions that are far more empowering, questions that lead to new decisions in your life. And these new decisions will be around, I want to say lifestyle. These new decisions will also be around something to do with finances. There's a shift taking place for the Pisceans in your finances. I feel like you're preparing for a wave of change in your finances. And so now more than ever, it's important that you are grounded, in particular when it comes to decision making around your finances. So it's simple, just being grounded. I'm not saying that you need to go and figure anything out, because sometimes when you share like something like this for the Pisceans, be grounded, then they go and spend hours trying to figure out and planning how to be grounded. Be in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, then you are naturally grounded. And when you're naturally grounded, then it's clear what decisions you're making around your finances. And part of the clarity around your finances is that there's maybe one or two offers that show up in your sphere around your finances that you have to make sure that you are very clear about. Make sure you are very clear about them. That's it. Okay, and that is for the Pisces for today. Clarity is everything. It's absolutely everything. I spend a lot of my time, in particular early in the mornings, asking questions of myself, questions that are useful and questions that are empowering, that lead to feeling empowered. And one of the most valuable questions, and I mentioned this yesterday, is how do I love to feel today? Where am I looking at there? How do I love to feel today? That is an incredibly valuable question. That sets me up for my day. Okay, so now I'm just going to look for the question that I had yesterday. I think it was on YouTube, I'm not sure. And then I will elaborate on this answer. I feel like it was a very powerful question. I'm going to do my best to answer it here. So I saw the live stream a few hours later. I understand intuition conceptually and meaning-wise, but I am unsure of how to access. Okay, great. Just to be clear, it doesn't matter what you understand about intuition, and certainly whether in terms of a concept, because your understanding of intuition won't actually get you to access intuition. So is it the wise counsel in the head that murmurs, or is that just my guilty self? For example, not going for a walk when I know I should, and I just push it down to do whatever else. Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, intuition has nothing to do with logic. It's not logical, okay? And intuition isn't there to tell you what you're doing right or wrong. It's not, there's no judgment. It has nothing to do with the story. You'll have an intuitive hit. For example, a feeling to go, I'm just going to make this up, to go for a walk. The rest is just your head. So the feeling is to go for a walk. Now, if you're feeling guilty because you didn't go for a walk, that has nothing to do with intuition. You'll just have a nudge to go for a walk. And maybe because when you go on that walk, there's a moment where you start to feel open again, or maybe because when you go on that walk, you have a realization, or you bump into something or somebody, or, alters the course of your life or something of that nature. Maybe. The feeling hits you. The rest is just talk, conversation in your head, which is not intuition. Intuition doesn't go into, come on, I've told you should go for a walk. I can't believe you didn't go. There's no conversation with intuition. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so to answer your question, how I'm unsure of how to access, it's through present moment awareness. That's how you access intuition. So I'm going to give you all maybe a piece of homework to do so that you can check in with your own intuition. First thing is place both feet firmly flat on the ground. So I've just got my dog moving around. So place both feet firmly flat on the ground and bring your attention to feeling sensations inside the body. When I say the inner energy field of the body, I'm referring to inside the body. And that's it. Do nothing else. Just bring your attention to feeling sensations. Then I'm going to encourage you that when you're on a walk, as an example, this is going to be very challenging, right? Every step you take on your walk, feel the sensations in the inner energy field of your feet. And the moment your attention goes to your head and you forget, stop. Come back, recalibrate. Recalibrating is you bring your attention to feeling sensations and then take the next step. And then you'll start walking, but you'll be very slow. It's going to look like you're learning how to walk. You'll be very slow. And so you start walking again. Then your attention will go back to thinking. And then you've forgotten that you're walking. And now you're off with the fairies again, right? Not an issue. Just stop what you're doing, recalibrate, come back to the present moment by feeling the sensations in the inner energy field of your feet. This is the doorway into the present moment. The present moment has its own pace. If you want to lock into intuition, your first practice needs to be here and now, meaning start with feeling sensations. Doesn't matter how boring it is. Don't let the ego convince you of anything different. Yes, it may be boring to the ego because the ego doesn't have access to the here and now. It doesn't have access to intuition. So feel the sensations in the inner energy field of your feet. 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. You don't need to sit there and try to feel it for an hour. You're not going to be able to do that. And in particular, if you're somebody that's very new to this practice, 3 seconds, boom, you're done, get on with your moment. Well, good on you for being able to hold that space for 3 seconds, because the 3 seconds that you've given your attention to feeling sensations, guess what? You've just kept the ego at bay. You've just quietened it. That's how you quieten the mind. And you'll feel that. You don't need to try to do it for an hour. So in particular, as a beginner, 3 seconds, 1 second, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And that walk that I refer to, the walk is really powerful. That I'm referring to, you might be able to take one step only today and have your attention on feeling sensations. And that's it. No worries. Tomorrow you'll go again. Or you might go on another walk a little bit later and you can take 3 steps that will support you to bring attention to feeling sensations. Those sensations in the inner energy field of the body, which we all have, that is your doorway to intuition. If you want to access intuition, that's what you need to start with. As you get better with this practice, you feel sensations, you'll start to notice that there's a pace that is very different to the regular pace of your mind that you're used to. It's a very subtle pace. It's a very subtle shift. That pace will take you to the guidance that you need, which comes from your intuition. So it's your, if you imagine a electrical plug and you plug into the wall, that's your plug to intuition, is the pace of the present moment. So this can be a great practice. I also highly recommend practicing it whilst you're speaking. That's so powerful. Have a conversation with somebody. Let them know that you're practicing this, because you're going to look a little bit funny at first. Now, first, what you'll do is, as you sit for the conversation, like I am right now, my attention is always on the inner energy field of my body, feeling sensations. It's not on you. It's not on the room around me. It's not anything. Always feeling sensations, right? So then what you'll do is have a conversation. As you start to speak, your attention stays with the sensation anywhere in the body, right? You'll feel quite slow at first. As you do this, then all of a sudden you start to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, and your thinking gets before you know it, you've forgotten, you're no longer in the inner energy field of the body, you've gone off again. Stop, start the conversation again. It doesn't have to be, the words have to be said all over again, just stop. Recalibrate. Recalibrate means come back to feeling sensations anywhere in the body. It's always there. That'll draw you back to where you need to be, and keep majority of your attention on that sensation whilst you are speaking. Once you get to that point, the practice of this becomes quite normal. I say this not from a space of being better than anybody, of course, by no means at all. But just to be clear, I don't sit here and practice this anymore. It's a practice that I've done for so many years. So for me, intuition is like that. Intuition is the moment I press, for example, record, it's all intuition. So I don't need to sit here and practice. I'm automatically in the inner energy field of the body whilst I'm working. I'm not doing this in all areas of my life necessarily all the time. However, or like when I'm in the gym, for example, I need to ground myself a lot because I'm not necessarily in the inner energy field. So the practice in my work, it doesn't exist. It doesn't need to, because it's automatic for me to be here. Otherwise, I can't do my job. So that's the practice I recommend. I love the advice yesterday about saying in the morning to yourself, how do I love to feel? I started that. Yeah, hey, good for you. Well done, because it really makes a difference. Be intentional. Thanks, Sansia. I appreciate you. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to talk about, either on these lives or do videos on, hey, nice to see you. Let me know, and I'm happy to either present it here, or I'm happy to do more videos. And if you guys get a chance, have a look at the walk and talk I did with Carly Lyon. That was the first one that I did with a guest. Now, my aim is to have as many of those walk and talks with guests. It's a lot more fun for me to have somebody than to do it by myself. So if you know of anyone that you feel like could be great for the walk and talk series, and including yourself, let me know. The conversation will always be around intuition. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for your time, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Take care.